Good morning, colleagues. Today we are going to be talking about reading with children whole class. Is reading with the whole class important? But first, I'm going to do a little demonstration, and I am going to do an activity, and there's going to be two different ways I'm going to do it. So at the end of them, I want you to tell me if you as a teacher with your students would do it one or two. Okay, so this is one. Good morning, class. Today we're going to be reading this book. It's Developing Literacy. It's in the SOL, so we have to do it. So pull out your books and let's start reading. That's way one. Or would you do way two? Oh my goodness, you guys, good morning. I'm so excited. This is my favorite textbook. This is my favorite textbook author. And these kids are learning to read, and we're going to start learning to read. So which way in your classroom would you want to do that? Two. Okay, if anybody said one, I would say you probably should do two. But yeah, so in this presentation, we will be discussing whole class reading in the terms of different approaches to whole class reading in the reading process, which, like Professor Bo says, is before reading, during reading, and after reading. So shared reading within various instructional approaches. In our classrooms, we can use different instructional approaches, which are core literacy programs, reading workshops, and literature units. Morrison and Wilcox report that sharing the reading process with the whole class is a vital part of the gradual release of responsibility from teacher to student, but it must also connect with the essential instructional elements of learning, doing, and sharing in a variety of ways. Core literacy programs, which are also called basals, this is what I had growing up. I don't know what you guys had in elementary school, but for this, there's going to be a textbook, and there's going to be weekly units, and in those weekly units, we have like stories that can be read aloud with the whole class. And the top three programs for this are Reading Street, Treasures, which is now called Wonders, and Journeys. So, McGraw-Hill Reading Wonders, there was a study done by Dorsey that I'm blanking on the word, not state, but, okay. District, a whole district, thank you. A whole district of teachers had to incorporate the Wonders book, and the study was done, and the research showed that based on the results, the number of students well below benchmark decreased by 8%. An increase in the number of students below benchmark was seen from 11 to 17%. As a result of moving from well below benchmark to below benchmark, which is a lot, even though they're both below, but it's from well below to below, so that's good. On the Dye-Bells composite. In addition, a substantial number of students remained at or above benchmark throughout the year. So this was really good, and this was the first time they incorporated one book for their whole district, and all the people increased their reading grades. So in reading workshops, another way we can do it, students choose their own books individually, and a lot of teachers think that you shouldn't use these because you're letting the kids read individually and there's not a lot of whole class incorporation, but there can be. So you can do literature circles like we've done, and whole class activities should be incorporated with this, and you can have whole class discussions about the books that the children chose. For example, I'm going to do a whole class discussion. So pretend my literary group was the whole class, and this would be an example of what to do. So, Brooke, who was your favorite character in Bridge to Terabithia?
I think it was Jessie.
Okay, awesome. Mine was Leslie, so we have a little bit of different opinion, and then we would just talk with the whole class on how our opinions were. Literature units. So this is another way you can teach reading. You can do a whole class novel, which it could be really good for your class, and it exposes students to literature they might not pick on their own. So if you have a class full of like romance, that love romance, maybe you could pick a sci-fi book that they would never pick on their own, and it broadens their horizons on that. And you want to keep timing in mind with this. You don't want to stretch one novel for a full year because that's going to become boring to your students, and they're going to be like, okay, we get it. And then you can do a thematic study with this, which is the instruction is built around a central concept or theme, and you can do a lot of reading as a whole group with a thematic unit, and you can also incorporate it to all aspects that you're teaching. The reading process, which we talked about, is before, during, and after reading. So before reading, you want to build or add background knowledge to your students, and you want to motivate and engage your students. So like I came out, all of you guys said it would be better to do it the second way because I'm making you excited about reading and you want to learn it and you want to know it. You're not just bored and like, okay, we have to do this. And you should also give your students activities to do while reading so they don't just check out. So you could say, this is an example. As I read and you read and follow along, I want you guys to be looking for the 3 reasons that Casey's family had to move. This is during reading. I would stray away from round robin and assigned reading because it's not really good for the students, and round robin really would make their confidence go down with reading, and because they're just called on and they may not be prepared or they may not want to read aloud, and then you make them scared of reading, which we do not want as teachers. And assigned reading, they just go back to their desk and read, and there's no really whole class, there's no way to incorporate your whole class with assigned reading. During reading, these are the things you do want to have is access to print, so you can have every student in your class have a copy, which is really good. And then if you don't have enough of that, you can have students share copies and follow along with you. And then you can also copy the book onto your onto your computer, and then you can present it on your smart board or on your overhead, just so they're seeing the text and following along with you. And another thing you want to do during reading is have lead readers. So this is you would pick some good students in your class that you feel are pretty confident and have them read, but you want to give them in advance what they're reading. So we're going to practice this. Last night I asked Emily if she would read something off my PowerPoint, and this is an example of lead reader because I told her about it and I gave her the text that she was going to read, so she's not shocked right now that she has to read in front of all of you guys. So will you go ahead and read that, Emily, under lead readers?
Can be done in whole class or in groups and give students notice that she will be reading.
Yeah, so she had plenty of time to practice that. It wasn't too hard for her, and she wasn't thrown off that I was just like, hey, go ahead and read that. So she wasn't scared to do it or intimidated by reading. Another thing is collaborative read-alouds, and Elliott, Johns, and Puig report that collaborative read-alouds provide a shared responsibility of the teacher and the student in response, promoting interest and engagement across the content area. And Nugnet and his team report that reading aloud to whole class models fluency and expressive reading to the students by the teacher. This will engage the whole class in content areas and also is a proponent of critical thinking for the students. Reading is also most influential when it's done every day and implemented every day in your classroom and not just every so often. Okay, after reading, you can do immediate responses. So you could say, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down if you enjoyed this book, and then you would want them to defend your answer because you don't want them to just do a thumbs up or thumbs down and not think about why they're actually doing that. And you can ask open-ended questions like, do you think Casey did better in her new home and her old home, and why? So they have to explain why. And you want to engage children in retelling activities. Snell, Heinemann, and Wasik report that children take ownership of learning and the text when they have to retell it because it's more than just them taking in information, but they also have to give out information. There are also deliberate responses, and these are activities like mirror experiences and curriculum integration. And for mirror experiences, like if you read a book on running or if you read Bridge to Terabithia like we did, there was a runner, so I would say, let's go out and practice running and take your class to the track just so they can understand, like, he had to run in the book, we're gonna get to run, and just like, yeah. And then for curriculum integration, it's like thematic study, so you add, like if you were doing books on farms, then you would incorporate farm animals maybe to math and things like that across the content area. So we're gonna take a Kahoot. If you guys can get your laptops. The code is 71959118. Is everybody in? Okay, let's start. Whole class reading is best done in reading workshops, literature units, core literacy programs, or all of the above? Good, it's all of the above. We want to incorporate all of these into our classroom. Good job, Jordan. Whole novel class should never be used because students zone out. True or false? Good job. 5 of you want to take a nap. Immediate responses take place before reading, during reading, or after reading. As a teacher, reading time is great because you can just assign a silent reading and go take a nap. True or false? False. You do not want to do that as a teacher. Okay, good job, Jordan. And today we've discussed whole class reading in the terms of different approaches to whole class reading in the reading process before reading, during reading, and after reading. And these are my references that I used. Thank you, guys.